So, a big welcome to everyone who's just joined us or to anyone who is watching this back at a later date. Welcome to our bonus session, which is, of course, all about Giving Tuesday. The big day is fast approaching, I think just 12 days to go. And I know that lots of you have been really busy planning your campaigns. Some of you run campaigns for Giving Tuesday every year. And for some of you, I know this is your first ever campaign. So we're really pleased to have you all with us today. And of course, I know that everyone is very excited to hear from Kathleen. So I'm just going to run through a couple more things before I hand over to her. I'm just going to really quickly introduce myself before we head into the main event. I'm Jasmine. I'm one of the digital communications coaches on the team here at Lightful. I'm joining you today from the city of Bath in the UK, and I'll be available throughout the session to answer any questions you have about Lightful or the Bridge programme. And if there's anything you feel uncertain about today, anything you'd like more help with, please remember you can book a one-to-one with one of our coaches. And as we go through, we'll share links in the chat for you to do that. And I'm also joined online today by my colleague Naz, and she'll be available in the chat if you have any questions, if you've got any technical difficulties or accessibility needs, do let her know. And I know you're all very keen for our Q&A session with Kat, which will be at the end of today's webinar. And I'd encourage you to pop your questions in the Q&A feature on Zoom so that we can see them really clearly and so that we don't lose them in the chat. So if you look at the bottom of your screens, you should be able to see a Q&A button. So questions for Kat, please pop them in there so we can see them. And just before I introduce our lovely guest speaker, I'm going to ask you to vote in a couple of polls that will come up on your screen now. So you should be able to see those, and they're just asking if you're running a Giving Tuesday campaign. I know for some of you this is very new, so some of you might have come to today's session just to find out what it's all about, which is totally fine, but I know lots of you are planning your campaigns. And if you're running a campaign, we'd love to hear how confident you are feeling about that at the moment. Thank you everyone for your votes. I'll leave that open for a few more seconds while I hand you over to our guest speaker, Kathleen. She's Director of Digital Strategy at Giving Tuesday, and she's here to tell you all about the day and share lots of tips with you as well. So over to you, Kat.
Hey, thanks again for having me. If I can figure out how to go full screen on this deck here, I will. There we go. I think I figured it out. All right.
I'm not sure if we can see it in full screen. There we go. All set.
There it goes. It's just a little delayed. It's good. You just see my screen and not my full everything else I have on my screen, hopefully.
Yes, just your slides. All good. Thank you.
So hey everybody, I'm Kat Murphy-Toms. I'm the Director of Digital Strategy for a little organization called GivingTuesday. And what that means is that I study the use of digital tools for things like movement building, for mass mobilization and social change. And then I bring all those ideas and tactics and innovations back to the social sector, to folks like you who are on the ground creating systemic change and building a better world, right? It's been the honor of a lifetime to have this opportunity and this job. And thanks to the Lightful team for having me as your guest today. The thing I'm probably most famous for is having run Barack Obama's Twitter account way back in the early social media days of 2008 when no one really knew what a hashtag was. So I was also a very, very early adopter of social media and teacher of digital mobilization. In my abundant spare time, I am a professor at New York University. I teach social media and email marketing as part of their new virtual digital fundraising certificate, which is a lot of fun. It's a blast. I like it a lot. What I thought we would do today is run through some of the best practices that we've learned through my past experience, as well as 10 years of Giving Tuesday. This will be 11 years now coming up. And we'll talk about what nonprofits can be doing at this moment, 12 days out, to maximize your day, right? Now, throughout this presentation, you're going to hear me say this often. I want to caveat this, though, that your work is not just about fundraising for your cause, okay? It is what we want to talk about is using these online tools, and I'm sure Lightful talks about this with you as well. What you're doing is building a community of caring individuals, right? Whether you're doing that on social, whether you're doing that in email, no matter what digital tactic you're deploying, that's what it is that you're doing, right? We want to be building a community of people who are ready to deploy at a moment's notice to help you move the needle on your mission, right? So you're not fundraising. What you're doing is building a movement for your cause. Apparently I had a slide for myself. My graphic designer made this little illustration for me as a joke, and I really liked it. I didn't think it was a joke. I really use it as my profile picture now, because this is me, hype woman for radical generosity. You've heard the story by now. Giving Tuesday was started as a day to respond to the incredibly consumer capitalist driven holidays of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, right? We said, could we create a day that reversed that trend? Could we create a moment in our society where we could celebrate our inherent and unifying, I guess, value of generosity, right? That's the thing that all humans have in common is this value of generosity, not the value of charitable giving, the value of generosity. And you're going to hear me talk about this a lot too. A long story short, it turns out that you could do that. You could start a holiday that celebrated generosity. On Giving Tuesday last year, $3.1 billion was given to the charitable organizations that are just within the United States and just within the 24 hours of Giving Tuesday, right? This amount of money is made up of mainly $50 to $100 donations given by average, everyday individuals. That amount of money that was raised in 24 hours is more than the total dollars given by the top 10 institutional philanthropies in the United States the entire year. It's a massive amount of money, right? According to Giving USA, this is the report that we all look at, the US gave $471 billion last year. That's $1.29 billion per day. On Giving Tuesday last year, people gave 2 times that. So there's something massive here, right? Absolutely powerful. Giving Tuesday is one of the only days of the year where people are looking for causes to support rather than the other way around, right? The rest of the year, you're out there looking for new supporters, right? Like everything we do is about how do we find new supporters. Giving Tuesday, we have this global moment where the entirety of humanity is actively looking for ways to celebrate their generosity and for ways to give back. So that's why we all show up on Giving Tuesday, right? As nonprofits, we put our best foot forward, we put our best face forward, and we're going to talk in a little bit about how to do that. It's a really, really great driver of new donors. This graph that I'm showing you here is the percentage of new donors across the entirety of the year 2020. And you can see those really clear bumps. That was Giving Tuesday Now, which was our emergency COVID campaign that we had done on May 5th. And then that giant bump over there at the end for Giving Tuesday 2020. So what does this tell us? That people are yearning for a collective giving experience, right? These moments where we can build a sense of urgency and ways that people can feel that they're a part of creating systemic change together. What we've found out over the years is that Giving Tuesday donors are sticky. Okay, these are the people who give on Giving Tuesday for the first time are more likely to stick around with you throughout the year. With an annual contribution of $1,124 over the year. That's 25% more than people who do not participate in Giving Tuesday. So people are sticking around. When they come into your organization via Giving Tuesday, they're sticking around for longer and they're giving more than the people who come to your organization on, say, December 31st, which in the United States is another really big fundraising day, and certainly versus any other day of the year. Yeah. It's not just about money, though. I know I've yammered about money, and we know that money is really, really important to our causes, but a lot of other things are important to our causes too. And one of the biggest parts of our mission at Giving Tuesday is to espouse this to nonprofits. This is not just about fundraising dollars, and it can't be. Last year, we had 37 million adults participate in the US, and they participated by giving their energy and their voice, and also they gave their money. Yeah. What we're learning is that people want to participate in social change in a bunch of different ways. And I think this has never been more important for us all to recognize, and not even just recognize at this point, we need to be taking action on this fact and allowing people to come into our missions in other ways than just giving us money, right? These are some of the ways that we're going to use to build community, to give people agency in the way that they want to participate in social change. And so part of our job on Giving Tuesday and throughout the year, and I'm sure you talk about this often in your Lightful cohorts, is to develop multiple on-ramps into your organization, right? What for different energy levels, what are direct action that people can take with your organization. There's activity that takes place on Giving Tuesday in every single country, territory, corner of the planet. 21 billion impressions the last time we were able to meaningfully count impressions. It's been a few years because of changes in social media measurement and what have you, but 21 billion impressions. And we're intergalactic now. We had an astronaut tweet from the ISS a few years back, and it was a joy and a privilege to be able to say that we are universal, system-wide. So yes, Giving Tuesday is big. It's absolutely massive. And again, while many people first think of Giving Tuesday as Fundraising Tuesday, my main call to action for all of you and my main point is that Giving Tuesday is so much more than that, and it provides so much bigger of an opportunity than just collecting charitable dollars, right? When my colleagues Asha and Henry came up with the idea of Giving Tuesday, they didn't say, hey, let's create the biggest Guinness World Record crowdfunding day of all time. It consistently is that every single year, but that's not the point. That's not what they said, right? They didn't say, let's create a world-breaking fundraising day. What they said was, we want to create uh, we want to create a day to celebrate all of our common humanity, right? The reason Giving Tuesday exists is to build the world that we all imagine to be possible. Our mission of Giving Tuesday, the organization that powers Giving Tuesday the day, but also this movement of people who are deploying what we call radical generosity throughout the world, is to create a world that's rooted in this sort of radical generosity. It's the notion for us, and for all of us, that someone else's suffering should be as intolerable to me as my own suffering. And we believe that if we create that society, if we that's more inclined toward generosity, to showing up in the world in that way, we believe it's going to lead to other pro-social behaviors, right? So what you're going to get is people who are more inclined to vote, to become active members in their communities, active participants in civil society, and more neighborly is the bottom line, right? Can we weave a different sort of society with all of us stepping up and being more generous in our daily lives? And that doesn't just mean nonprofit charitable fundraising. That also means being willing to go knock on my neighbor's door, because I have a neighbor, I'll use myself as an example. I have a neighbor who just gave birth, and I knocked on her door and I said, like, hey, how are you doing? Can I bring you a meal? Like, these sort of thoughts we should all be having all of the time, is our view, right? So this is about mass behavior change amongst our entire society, and also the driver of charitable giving that it is consistently every year. Okay, at long last, friends, we have gotten to the portion of the presentation where we start talking about Giving Tuesday for nonprofits. And it's coming. We have 12 days to go, maybe 11 if you're on the later side of the evening tonight. The first thing that you want to do is set yourself a goal for this day that's coming up in 12 days. We want to set one goal for our campaign, not two, not three goals and one of subsidiary goal that if we reach it, it's fine, that's great. Definitely not 7 goals. Jot down all your goals, all the things that you would love to see happen for your organization. Put those in your back pocket and just pick one of those to tackle in 12 days for Giving Tuesday. That's a mistake we see often in Giving Tuesday campaigns. Folks will say, well, we want to raise this much money, but we also want to deploy young people, and we want to create moments for volunteerism. We also want to collect goods. We can't do all of those things on one day. I wish that we could, but we can't do all of those things on one day. So what we're going to do on Giving Tuesday is test out running one campaign with one goal, and then we're going to get that system down around deploying our community to help us achieve that goal. And then we're going to be so great at doing this that we're going to keep being able to churn out campaigns all year long and not have to wait for a day like Giving Tuesday to come up. We'll be able to create our own moments of urgency, right? And we'll keep churning out those campaigns all year long, which I'm sure you're talking about with your Lightful cohorts. And help us achieve those goals over time. Okay, so nonprofits participate in Giving Tuesday in all kinds of different ways. Nonprofits will they'll do things like, okay, we want to raise X number of dollars to build a playground for disabled youth in this specific location, right? And you'll notice I took time to be really specific in that goal, right? We want to have a SMART goal. We all know what that is. We want to be specific with what it is that we're trying to do. We have nonprofits who will try to reach a certain number of new donors. That's fine too, right? Just but pick one thing, focus on that one thing. I encourage y'all to think outside the box a little bit, right? You can, of course, you can organize a fundraising campaign, but are there other things that you can do? Are there other ways that we can invite people into our mission and be a literal part of the impact? We'll have nonprofits do in-person events. They'll run volunteer orientations on that day with a call to action like, hey, bring a friend, these sorts of things. We have nonprofits who will partner with other organizations in their community to work together toward filling a specific gap. Maybe there's something in their community that one organization or the other couldn't tackle on their own, but together they might be able to do something really great. So like last year we had 3 organizations collaborated to put together a community garden on Giving Tuesday that was going to be of use to anybody in the community. And I think it was a church, it was a youth group at a school who like actually did the building, and then there was a food rescue organization involved. But this sort of collaboration is another part of Giving Tuesday that we think is going to be a game changer for the sector. Let's get out of our silos and start working better together. Yeah. And Giving Tuesday is a great time to beta test those kind of activities. Storytelling, which is one of the most important parts of your campaign. And in my mind, one of the parts that nonprofits fall short on, right? The thing that most people, that all people want from their giving is a sense that they matter. So your job is to make your impact tangible, right? Illustrate the needs in your organization, illustrate the needs that your organization is meeting in your community, and how your prospective supporter can be a part of meeting those needs together along with you, right? So no, it's not please give on Giving Tuesday because it's November 28th and it's Giving Tuesday and here's my donate link. That's not going to work. And in the United States, we have it's negligible, this tax write-off thing, right, that was available, kind of, sort of not. There was a moment where we were saying to our supporters, please give because you'll get a tax write-off. Terrible strategy, right? That does not compel someone to give to your organization and your organization specifically. We need to be creating a compelling story that can help pull people in, make them see themselves as part of the story, and make them see themselves as part of the solution to the problem, right? So we really want to be spending our time on social and in email, sharing the impact of our organization and what it is that we're doing, showing that impact, which we'll get to in our when we talk about social media posts in a minute. But most importantly, how folks can come in and be a part of that change, right? You're going to hear me talk more about this again in a minute, but I will mention it here. People want to see images. They don't want to see graphics from Canva. okay? And it's psychologically the way you bring somebody in to make them see themselves as part of your movement, it's through photos and videos, right? Because they're saying, okay, look, I can do that too. There's a person who's volunteering. I can do that too. When we're spending our time whipping up Canva graphics, um, that's not generally inspiring enough to make somebody take that next step of getting involved in your organization, whether that's donating or whatever your call to action actually is. Okay. Once you've got your campaign idea and the story that you're going to tell, now we've got to get it out to the people. And this, again, is in my mind another spot where nonprofits will get tripped up. I think we forget sometimes how many audiences we actually have at our disposal when we start thinking about the people who are in our community who are ambassadors for our cause, your biggest cheerleaders. If we take these 12 days that we have and spend our time mobilizing those people, we're going to be better off. The main opportunity in Giving Tuesday is using the moment to build power and mobilize people for good. And I think we can absolutely do this online, on social media. Still, I believe in social media, even in these days. I think we can absolutely do it on email. I think we absolutely should be using WhatsApp and text message for this sort of organizing, right? My class at NYU is mostly about this. It's a 6-week master class in community organizing for nonprofits. I think we are not great at it. I'm not going to lie. I think we don't think that way first. I think, and I think there's a lot to learn. So what we want to be doing on Giving Tuesday is thinking about our audience. Who amongst our group of supporters can help us get the word out about our campaigns and about our mission and take ownership in our campaign success? People want to do this for you. They really, really do. They don't want to just hear about your impact anymore in an email. People really want to get more involved. So what I'm talking about is using a distributed organizing approach. And that means that your organization isn't bearing the brunt of your campaign this way. What you're doing now is giving people the tools that they need to succeed, to get the word out about your mission to their friends and family members, right? We'll talk more about a couple ways to do this in a minute. But the premise is you're getting word out on your own social media pages. Organic reach is the worst it's ever been. What else can we be doing to have folks get the word out on their social media pages? So that's why I have this diagram of the circle here, right? It's exponentially increasing the potential eyeballs and hearts that our mission can land on, as long as we're creatively organizing to send our people to get out on our behalf to help get word out about our organization and about our Giving Tuesday campaigns, right? It frees us from simply having the one email list that we have possession of and our 5,000 followers on our Facebook page and however many Instagram followers we have. We can reach exponentially more people if we adopt this distributed organizing strategy and bring in like cheerleaders for our campaign. It's like a fundraising squad, right? Peer-to-peer fundraising is one way to do this, which I think we'll get to in a minute. Invite people to share their participation in your mission, okay? That could be that you are asking them to run peer-to-peer fundraising pages for you. And I absolutely cannot recommend this strategy enough. I actually am willing to go out on a limb and say it is the secret to Giving Tuesday. Do you all know what I'm talking about when I talk about these peer-to-peer campaigns? These are like, you've seen them on Facebook, they're birthday campaigns, but a lot of times you'll see them as like a crowdfunding campaign, right? I ran one a few weeks ago for my mutual aid organization. We needed to raise $8,000 to house 100 newly arrived migrants in Chicago. So each one of our mutual aid volunteers, we each started our own fundraising page. We used Donately, but almost any donation platform has this functionality available to you. And I had my personal page. I set a goal for myself of $1,000 of that $8,000, right? And then I sent that page to my friends, to my family members, to my LinkedIn colleagues, to anybody I have ended up who had the unfortunate opportunity of having their phone number, right? I text messaged it to everyone I knew. I had my $1,000 within 4 hours, right? And if you can get 10 of your best supporters to do this same thing, right? That's how we very quickly achieve our Giving Tuesday goals. Again, it's got to be something very specific, right? It generally doesn't work so well for general operating funds. Giving Tuesday broadly works for more specific things. Okay. Another way to think about this is simply having folks get out there and simply share your link, right? Even if they're not going to the effort of developing a peer-to-peer fundraising page for you, even deploying them, getting them equipped with, hey, here's a toolkit of some messages that you can send out, right? Or just a direct ask, hey, would you consider sharing on your social media page a story about the reason why you are such a big fan of our organization and why it matters to you, right? That's going to be more effective to your organization than you spending these next 12 days coming up with 100 different posts that you're going to post on your own page that may or may not get seen. Your better strategy is to work directly with people in your community and ask them to post. Yeah. Other cool things that I've seen in the past around getting your community involved and amped up for your mission and being a helper and getting the word out about your cause. You can ask folks to match for you, and it doesn't need to be a lot. I've seen this lately. This was Brittany Packnett from a few years ago. She tweeted that she and her husband were going to personally match $3,500 in donations to these categories of nonprofits. As long as they sent them the receipt, they would match it up to a certain number of dollars, right? You can have personal individuals do this for you. Right? So if you have board members, if you have major donors who usually drop a large check for you off at the end of the year, could you ask them to do that a little bit earlier, right? Would you, instead of simply writing out the check for $3,500 for us, would you consider putting it out to your friends and family members and colleagues as a match and end up doubling, tripling, quadrupling, right? Exponentially, we turn that one $3,500 gift into exponentially more money in this way, right? Okay, friends, I feel like I am yammering now. All right, we've got 11 days to go, 12 days if you're in the United States. What are some things that we can be doing to optimize our social media pages in this moment? You could and should potentially be having a lot of new eyeballs on your page, right? Because we're deploying all of these folks to help us get the word out about about our mission. Those folks are going to tag your organization because we've told them to do so, right? And you're going to have a whole bunch of people new to your mission. What we don't want them to do is to have to scroll through your Instagram feed 100 times or even 10 times to discover what it is that you do. We want to make it as easy for them as possible. They should land on your Instagram page, your Twitter, your whatever profile page it is, and we should be able to figure out instantaneously what you do. A couple of ways that can help in that effort. Instagram pinned posts. I can't recommend these enough. I think you've seen these before. I think you know how to operate them. In case you don't, we create curated stories. So tomorrow, if you don't have this already, I recommend it to you highly. Create 10 slides for Instagram stories and Facebook stories. Shoot them to both, right? About what it is your organization does. Who are we? What is it that we do? And then pin those in a what's called a highlight post, and that will show up on the top of your page, pinned to the top so people can find out instantly. You might have curated stories about like commonly asked questions. You might have testimonials from the people you serve. You might have a Q&A, right? If people are asking you questions often. Uh, Good way to highlight what it is you do in a really simple way. We also want to pin to our feed our 3 best posts. And I don't necessarily mean 3 best performing posts. What I really mean by that is what posts really succinctly and clearly tell what it is that you do immediately, right? Hopefully 1 or 2 of those posts can be posts that really got a real lot of likes and a lot of traction so that you can illustrate social proof. But our main point here is to pin 3 stories to the top of our page that really clearly explain what it is that we do and illustrate our impact, right? Some content that we might be creating on Giving Tuesday. We're going to want to create some content, but hopefully if we're doing this right, we don't have to be creating tons and tons of content. Hopefully we are going to deploy other people to create content for us and share that on their social media pages so that we can do less, right? Because we don't have a lot of time. We are busy people and we are capacity strapped in all senses of that word. Some things that you might do for Giving Tuesday that I highly recommend: an Instagram carousel post. These are the ones where you swipe and there's 10 slides that educate people about your cause area, not just your nonprofit. What's the issue in that you are solving, right? For your community, but also how does that ladder up to a national and a global issue as well, right? People are really interested in using social media as an education tool these days. I think we have never seen that more clearly this year, even in the past 3 years, I would say, right? Uh, Folks are using social media a little less for entertainment these days. They're not necessarily going to get that from nonprofits, although if you have an opportunity to create a funny TikTok, I recommend that you do. But our work is going to be mostly about education. And so I recommend that folks, if you have to make a choice, double down in the education department, okay? We want to be posting in the next few days, in the next 12 days, as many posts as we can possibly muster, and just go back into the archives of your best photos and best videos that show and illustrate what it is that you do and shows your impact, and write captions that are really compelling and explain what it is that you do, right? We can create content that invites conversation. The algorithms these days are favoring engagement in terms of comments and shares, not likes. We don't care about likes anymore. What we want to be doing is asking questions, because that prompts folks to answer the question in comments, right? And the algorithm will see a lot of questions. And then that tells the algorithm, okay, people are engaged in this post. Let's show it to more of this organization's followers. Yeah. Ask a lot of questions, right? Uh, I mentioned shares, like the algorithms really like people bookmarking and sharing. That's another indicator for the algorithm to show that post to more people. So these like educational Instagram carousels are really good for that too, right? It's the kind of content that someone's likely to pin for later. Could be a listicle of all of the ways that someone can affect change in your cause area. People really like that kind of stuff too. Don't snooze on email. Please, 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 please. It is the #1 converting mechanism to donation, even beyond social media, beyond advertising, or beyond almost anything else you might do. It's email. If you think about it, these folks have opted into your email list, so they are hyper bought into your mission and they want to hear from you. They know you already, so we don't need to spend a lot of time reintroducing ourselves, right? They are ready and eager to support you. You just need to ask. We recommend that you send a couple of emails ahead of November 28th. At this point, if you haven't yet, I would definitely send a save the date newsletter. You don't need to send more than 2 emails during the day on November 28th. like per donor. Like any one donor doesn't need to get more than 2 emails, okay? You want to make sure you are targeting your email list into segments versus just e-blasting your entire list, okay? Please don't email your major donors asking them for $5 when they might have given you 500, okay? You want to put your major donors in a separate list and think of some specific action for them to take, okay? Your board should be getting a different ask than your general email list too, right? And hopefully you're deploying your board to run those peer-to-peer fundraisers for you, right? And giving them the tools they need to do that. And then lastly, someone who just gave to you 2 hours ago, they need to come off that next e-blast that you're going to send out in the afternoon as a reminder to give, right? Because they just gave, and it is 2023 and we have the technology to do that. Yeah. I also think that savvy nonprofits need to be getting directly into people's phones. Okay. And again, I cover this at length in my 6-week masterclass at NYU. I know people have a lot of questions about this. I will broadly say that no, what I don't mean by that is that you should be robocalling people or blasting them with obvious the political campaign style kind of messages. That's not what people like. There are ways for nonprofits to do this effectively and well, and I think we absolutely need to be getting better at it. These social media platforms could go poof at any moment. There are changes constantly with these, right? And so we want to be developing our email lists, developing our mobile opt-in list, so that we own those contacts, right? We don't want to wake up one day and Twitter is gone and so is my 84,000 people that followed me, right? I want to be working now to start collecting those folks' phone numbers and a way to get in touch with them so that I can continue to build community with them later on. Okay, can anybody guess what the #1 digital tactic is for a day like Giving Tuesday? If you've heard me talk before, you know what it is. So give folks a chance, but I'm gonna ask you to pop it in the comments. What is the #1 digital tactic for a day like Giving Tuesday? Text is a good idea. It's not email, it's not video. Tell your story. These are good. These are all good. #1 digital tactic. It is the calendar invitation. I'm being completely serious. I literally am advising you to send your donors a calendar invitation for Giving Tuesday. I needed a calendar invitation to come here, right? Jasmine needed to put it on my calendar with the link to the Zoom to join, or else I wasn't going to show up. My colleague needs to send me a calendar invitation for our meeting later this afternoon, or else I'm not going to show up. If it's not beeping on my watch, I can't do it. I have 2 kids. I run a mutual aid organization. I have this full-time job at Giving Tuesday with 12 days to go, and I have a lot of money to help nonprofits raise it. It's very stressful. We all have things that we are doing in our life. We need our Apple Watches to beep, right? So what we want to do is send our supporters a literal calendar invitation. Okay. You're going to make sure if you're using Outlook, you need to make sure you're BCCing your donors, like blind carbon copies, so that they can't all see each other's email addresses. Same with Google. A better way to do it is probably to hook up adevent.com, where there's calendar webs. Calendly is another one I have it listed here. That's a link you can send to your supporters and they click it and put it on their own calendar. That's a safe way to do it. But I am telling you that you can literally send them a calendar invitation. 7 a.m., whatever you feel is an appropriate time. I don't care. Giving Tuesday runs for 24 hours. Whatever you think is good for your donors. You might set it for 8 p.m. I don't know. Hey, it's Giving Tuesday. Please give to and insert your organization. And that's the subject line. For location, where you normally click the Zoom link to come here, put your donate link, right? And I'm not even going to tell you, we're not even going to get into it. Hopefully that is a mobile friendly donate link because it's 2023 and what people are going to do is click it on their phone and that should hopefully go to a mobile friendly page. Really what it should go to is a page that allows mobile giving, Apple Pay, right? Google Wallet, where I like double click my little lock button here and I automatically give to your organization. That's what people want. If there's one thing you do in the next 12 days that could be really, really useful, use of your time is to investigate how to get Apple Pay hooked up for your organization. Our donors are really used to shopping on Instagram and clicking the button two times to pay for something. Do you guys do this? Right? We pay for something instantly these days, right? Or if it auto fills our credit card number, so I don't have to get up, go across the room, find my credit card, forget what I was doing, and then not give to your organization, right? Again, this is another thing I spent 6 weeks on in my NYU class, is like streamlining the donation process for people. And if Giving Tuesday is a good kick in the pants, if I'm being blunt, to go do that, then that's great, right? Anything that we can do on the digital front to make things easier for our folks is something that we should absolutely be doing. You might send a calendar invitation out to the peer-to-peer fundraisers that you've asked to go fundraise on your behalf, right? You might send them a couple of calendar links along throughout the day on Giving Tuesday. You might include like, hey, don't forget to email your friends your link. Don't forget to text message your family with your personal link, things like this. The last thing I'll say about the calendar invitation is it cannot be the only thing that you do. While it's effective, it is not a magical key to unlocking treasure on Giving Tuesday. And you have to imagine that you are not the only webinar that I am doing this year, and you are not the only group that I am advising to do this. Okay. So eventually there's going to be a lot of nonprofits taking this same tactic. So it works for right now. But it's one touch point that you have at your disposal, and a rather effective one, but it can't be the only thing that you do. We still need to be deploying our community to get out on our behalf. We still need to be telling our story in an effective way, and we still need to be doing some work in order to help us achieve our goals, okay? Oh, I did have a slide about mobile friendly. Yes. Please do the work now to make sure that your page is mobile friendly, streamlined, Apple Pay, if you can figure out how to get that hooked up. We have resources galore on givingtuesday.org. If you are not signed up for my newsletter, you are missing out. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but beep, beep. The next couple of days, if you are signed up for my newsletter, you are going to receive specific instructions about what it is you should be doing each day to make sure that you have a successful Giving Tuesday campaign. I have a hotline this year. Sign up for my e-newsletter list so that you get the phone number, because it's in every single email. It goes directly to my phone. That's right. I gave my mobile phone out to millions of nonprofits around the world. It's been great. Folks have been asking me all kinds of questions, looking for ideas about what they can do for their campaigns. I'm having a lot of fun. So please use us. Use our team, use the resources that we have on givingtuesday.org. The last thing that I will say to you, and I know I went on for way longer than I promised Jasmine that I would, and we will get to questions, I assure you, but if it's one thing that you take away from this TED Talk of mine, I would like you to walk away reframing your thinking about what it is your job is. And that's big. That's big of me to say, right? Like, who am I? Your job is not only to raise funds for your mission, okay? It's not only that. Your job is to mobilize a groundswell of support for your cause. You're creating a movement of like-minded, passionate, energetic individuals to help you move the needle on your cause, right? And Giving Tuesday is a year-round movement that's doing that, right? Giving Tuesday the Day is a platform and a day to help galvanize this kind of energy, and we should all absolutely jump on this boat, because we're headed off to great places. But Giving Tuesday broadly is a movement to instill mass behavior change in our society. Okay. What can we be doing to affect more radical generosity in the world? The notion that my suffering should be as intolerable as to me to somebody else's suffering. We think that that's critical to the world that we all want to live in together, right? And so that's what Giving Tuesday is. It's imagining a different world and a different world for all of us, right? And deploying all of us to work together toward that. Okay. So thank you for everything that you're doing to build the world that we all imagine to be possible. I appreciate you. I welcome you into the movement. If this is your first time, welcome with open arms. We're so glad you're here. Okay, friends, I have not looked at the chat once.
It's been a busy chat.
So, which is fine, which is fine. I've never even thought of sending a calendar invite. Yeah, to be honest with you, no one's ever gotten that question right. And I actually take great joy in that moment of the presentation because I find it really fun. No one's ever gotten it. And in all my years of doing this presentation, I guess, I don't know, maybe folks are being kind to me and they don't want to blow it for others. Yeah, it's great. It absolutely cannot be the only thing that you do, though. Okay, truly, we have to be giving people specific instructions for and specific pathways into coming into our organization and our mission. Yeah, it's in the old days of Giving Tuesday, we used to talk about it like we can't make giving transactional. We still can't make giving transactional. There's a little bit of a risk in the calendar invitation if we're making it transactional. Right. So what I would advise doing to combat that is write a nice letter in the body of that calendar invitation to that individual, right? I'm sending you this calendar invitation because you're part of our community and you matter to us and our organization in such a way that I am personally adding this on your calendar because I don't want you to miss your opportunity to get either re-engaged with our organization or engaged in a different way. And I mentioned sending different calendar invitations to different segments of folks. That might be one thing that you do. Maybe you send a separate calendar invitation to people who are in the more major donor category. Maybe you send a separate calendar invitation to folks who had given to you once, but not given to you again. But you get a sense that they might not give again, but maybe you want to invite them into your mission in a different way. Right? And just put that call to action to that one specific group on Giving Tuesday. Okay, Jasmine, what do you recommend? Are there questions in the Q&A that you think we should tackle, or do you think we should go through the chat?
Yeah, so I would just say if anyone has questions that they'd like to pop in the chat or Q&A feature, or also if you raise your hand, I know there's a lot of us, but if you raise your hand, I can give you the signal to go off with mute and ask Kat directly.
I want to tackle this one that's in the Q&A. Valerie asks, what is the maximum amount an organization can apply for on the Giving Tuesday campaign? Okay, a few things. This isn't a grant application, right? Like Giving Tuesday is not a funder. When I mentioned that $3.2 billion that we raised last year, the we there, that means you all. That doesn't mean me. That's not in my bank account. That's the amount that nonprofits in the United States raised for their individual organizations, right? So that's how that's working. You're not registering with us. We're not dispensing a portion of that $3.2 billion. None of those things are true. What you're doing is going to mobilize your community and fundraise whatever amount you like. There is no maximum. I've seen a nonprofit raise $30 million on Giving Tuesday. I am not exaggerating to you. It was a massive organization, one that has much more capacity than y'all. Okay, but my point in sharing that is that there's no maximum. Okay. Hopefully that makes it clear.
Thanks, Kat. Amazing. Charisse, hey, I see you got your hand up. Do you want to come off mute?
Thank you. Hi, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. Mine is we are doing a motherhood summit in December, and I know that that's like a month, but the reason I'm asking this is that the summit is geared towards the things that happen during the holidays and helping families to be able to identify with that. But I don't want them to have to pay to come to it. So that's why I wanted to do it during the Christmas season to do, like, I don't want to say kill two birds with one stone. That
No,
sounds
no, I get you. I get you. I get you.
but to be able to provide that information, also give them some nice gifts, and then help through the holidays. So yeah.
Yes, Sharice,
Okay.
that's exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a specific goal for Giving Tuesday. That's awesome. Do you know how much it would cost for
Well,
you to fulfill the whole budget of everything?
it's just $3,000. I mean,
Sharice, you
what?
got this. Oh,
Okay.
honey, you got this. That's the perfect Giving Tuesday campaign. And you could do it as a peer-to-peer campaign. Do you have some folks in your community? I'm sure that you do, who could set up fundraiser and take on a
It's a
chunk
little
of the.
competitive right now in my area.
I understand. I understand. I'm thinking like board members, right, who could take vendors of yours, right? Like
Yeah.
friends of your organization who really want to help you succeed, to
Okay.
take off a chunk of it, right? Like if you had 10 people, divide that $3,000 by 10, and each of those people they could raise that in a day, no problem, right? But I think you could still do it on your own too, right? Create one campaign page that has the thermometer on it, right? Because psychologically, those are really, really good for people to have, especially on a day like Giving Tuesday. That our goal is $3,000. The page has a paragraph about what your community gets during this Mother Summit, right? And like maybe a testimonial or two from participants from past years about how much this means to them. And then a note from you about how, like, look, we don't want people to pay for this. And so we are humbly asking for you to step in and bring joy to our community on Giving Tuesday. We know we can do this.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then all day on social media, you could schedule these posts now, Sharice, just post pictures from last year. Right? Here's a story. Here's a picture of a kid opening up a present, right? And this happened because of your support. And today on Giving Tuesday, we're asking you to help us make this party happen for our community. Go hit the link in our bio, or if it's a Facebook post, drop the link right there. And you can schedule this, and you can do one post an hour, right?
I had to stand up. You see me, I had to go to the plug because my computer was we can't be cutting out for this conversation. But thank
I
you
love it.
so
That's
much.
great.
Kay.
You're welcome,
Thank you.
Sharice. Good luck. Let me know how it goes, okay?
I sure will. I sure will.
Oh, thanks for sharing, Cherise. We've had a few questions come on through to the Q&A. I don't know if you can see them, Kat, or if you want me to read any out, but one from Lindsay asking about running Giving Tuesday campaigns in non-Western communities and more globally.
Yeah, great question. Giving Tuesday is in nearly 100 countries. We are about to hit 100. I think it might be next week. I don't know. If you go to givingtuesday.org/global, you are almost certain to find Giving Tuesday in your country. Connect with those leaders. What they are doing is adapting Giving Tuesday for locally, right? And so in South Africa, I'll use that as an example. A couple years back, they held a massive party for nonprofits to come table. I forget which city they hosted it in, but they invited all of that city's nonprofits to come table. And folks had a booth to collect goods. They were trying to collect shoes, I think it was. Another nonprofit was simply there to tell others about their organization and their mission, and sign up some volunteers, right? And just invite the community to know and find out about their organization. Countries do all kinds of different things. They develop training and fundraising training that's specific to your communities too, right? Because not all the US tactics could and should work in every single nation, right? So that's why we've built Giving Tuesday in that way, because we recognize that, we know that global North tactics are absolutely not going to work in the global South, nor should they, right? So what we do is mobilize leaders from all over the world who are passionate about our collective mission to increase generosity in the world. And each country has a team captain, basically. If your country somehow doesn't have a team captain yet, please email us. We are interested in finding a team captain for your nation. We would love to work with you if that's you. If you know somebody who might be a team captain for your nation, we'd love to hear about it.
Amazing, thank you. That's so exciting how many nations are having Giving Tuesday. That's brilliant.
All right, what else we got? We are trying to raise $25,000 to assist homeless prevention for the holidays. I love it. Let's do it. We want to provide rental assistance. Absolutely. Olivia, I'm doing this here in Chicago in my abundant spare time. I am working with newly arrived migrants, and we are placing them into apartments. And we are that $8,000 campaign I mentioned earlier, that was the rental assistance campaign. Yes, you absolutely can, right? As long as you're very clear and specific about what it is that you're trying to do, right? And who it's for. We are trying to raise $25,000. This is going to help with rental assistance for whom, like for which specific, do you have a cohort of individuals that you're working with, like for whom? Any kind of details about things that people don't necessarily think about when it comes to like getting yourself set up in a new apartment, right? In a lot of places you need to deal with utility bills and electricity bills and internet service and all these other things that maybe people forget about. So this is a good moment to educate people again about just homelessness broadly, and like the things that folks experiencing homelessness have to deal with, right? So like, can you use Giving Tuesday as a moment, even if that's all you do is end up educating more people about the struggle, right? That's how we bring more people in with us, right? And build power toward helping defeat these systems that are creating the struggle.
I have
Yeah,
a little follow-up if I can ask. So with our
please.
agency, we do we're a financial coaching and education firm agency, and in particular, what we found is that we've gotten a lot of requests for rental assistance. We've gotten 3 rounds that we do with the city for rental assistance, but the money goes like that, right? People are in the arrears
Yeah.
like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in the rears, especially given Atlanta's market rent rate at the moment. We couple that with education, and in order to get the housing, they've also got to, or to
Yeah.
get the assistance, they've got to go through financial education, counseling, and the like. Is 25,000, do you think, I mean, that's not really our average giving to rental assistance is 2,000 a person, which we've kind of indicated in our giving letter. Do you think that that's a small goal? That's what I'm wondering, if that's if I should up the goal to a $50,000
Always up the
goal.
goal, girl, always up the goal. Always up the goal. If your goal causes you a little bit of stress, that's great, right? If it's
Yeah.
keeping you up at night, awesome. Go big,
Okay.
right?
And then
Go big. It's fine,
administratively,
because if you don't end up making it, nobody cares. In
okay,
fact, they might care more, because then what you do the next day is you say, hey, look, we didn't make it. Can we get a little bit of a
that's
boost?
good.
And people
That's
go,
good.
you know what? Yeah, definitely.
And let
Yeah,
me ask
grow
a
more.
follow-up. Is there anything that we should disclose in any of our campaigns as it relates to administrative costs? So for instance, with us, should it all be going to a goal? Like for instance, if we're doing rental assistance, there's some processing and work that we've got to do on our end for that. Is it
Yeah.
okay to put some of our expenses in that?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I actually am not a fan of calling that out. There was a movement
Good.
years ago where it was this notion that we had to disclose our
Yeah, like what
overhead or something
percentage?
like
Right,
this.
right.
No, it
Okay, good.
costs what it costs. Get out of here with
Okay,
that. It
gotcha.
costs 50,000 to house this many people. I don't care how much the administrative professional is getting paid. I shouldn't anyway. And if a
Right,
donor is caring about that, they're not your people, you
got
know?
you.
So like
Perfect.
I'm done with that. Nonprofits need to be paid. We don't need to be making excuses, Charisse. Yeah, Charisse knows it. Like we don't need to be making excuses for ourselves, or like you know what I'm
Right.
trying to say to you? Like no,
Yes, I do.
it costs what it costs. That's it.
Right. Wonderful.
Yeah, you
Thank
got
you.
this. You got this. Go big. Atlanta, you
Thank
guys
you.
need it.
Amazing.
Yes. Big
Yeah,
time.
we've got it hard here in Chicago too. Similar,
Yeah.
bad, really bad.
Thank you.
Love that.
Thank you for doing that work. It's essential.
Love that prompt to just finish off by upping our goals, and hopefully everyone's kind of getting their one goal solidified and ready for the next week and a bit. But in terms of questions, I think we've got through, thank you, Kat, we've got through our questions. I know people are, it's lovely to see people sharing what their goals are, what they're working towards. It's amazing. I know, conscious of time, so I might just wrap us up.
I was going to say, it's okay. I can hang around. If you all want to hang around, I can hang around for about another half hour. If you want, Jasmine, if you want to stop the recording, and then if folks want to just stay and chat, that's fine by me.
That's so kind. Thank you. I'm going to just send our final little action so that everyone who does get the recording does see these messages. So of course, I know Naz has already shared for you in the chat. We've got some resources for all of our British participants as usual. We're just going to launch a final poll for you all just to see how you're feeling about that. It's lovely to see all your messages coming through. Thank you, everybody. So yeah, don't kind of stress without any help. Remember, you can book in a coaching call with one of the team. It's great seeing all your lovely messages. And yeah, a huge thank you to Kat for sharing so many good tips. I was scribbling down notes. I could see that everyone else was as well. So that was fantastic. And yeah, so brilliant to hear. So massive thank you to Kat. Big thank you to everybody also for making the time to come along and join us as well. Really excited to see how all of your campaigns develop. So I've just launched those polls. I can see you're already answering those. So thank you so much. What I'll do then is I will stop the recording. Big thank you to everyone for coming. And then, yeah, Kat, that's really kind. If anyone does want to stay around and ask any final few questions, that would be lovely.